I have a story of what just happened to me at Walmart. Now, as a teacher, when you walk into Walmart, especially when it's only 20 minutes away from where that school is located, you are jeopardizing the chance of running into at least 10 people, but definitely not limited to 10 people that you know from school, whether it's coworkers, students, parents of students, angry community members. Now, I am standing in the shampoo aisle, completely minding my own business, trying to figure out what brand of shampoo I'm going to buy next to use to wash my hair that is constantly thinning out due to the stress that is caused by teaching, farming, having young children. An old student walks up to me. Let's call him Larry. Larry graduated a couple of years ago, and I'm honestly shocked that he wanted to talk to me because historically our interactions, although once he got closer to graduation, there was some animosity. I had Larry for several years in different classes, and the last year that I had this individual was during the strange years of COVID, where we were operating on a hybrid schedule. So I would see this individual every other day, Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, I can't remember. And then Fridays were virtual. And crazily enough, our school offered the option that kids could go totally virtual. So they didn't even make kids go to school and force them to go to the school as long as they were doing their work and attending the video sessions. Think back to that time, and it was just such a crazy time in the world. Like, that will never happen again. Regardless, our school operated in cohorts. This individual happened to be in my cohort for however long until they went virtual. Now, another interesting fact that is somewhat unrelated to this story, but I want to mention it, is that because we operated in cohorts and my students were all in other areas of the school, I had one group of students that was my cohort that stayed in my room the entire school day. Many other core teachers would rotate classrooms and be able to see groups of kids because there were students in those cohorts that had multiple kids that were enrolled in their classes. As an ag teacher, I had about one kid from every cohort in my class. So there were at no time that I had more than 2 kids in one cohort that were enrolled in my classes. So I taught entirely virtual agriculture from September until spring break in April. The only kids that I actually taught in person were the ones that were enrolled in my cohort. And I had a senior cohort that year. So there were not very many of those kids that I actually taught. But I still had to teach virtually because I was doing it on the Teams meetings video. I was video teaching these kids from my classroom, and they were located in other classrooms around the school. So this individual, Larry, was in my cohort and was in my classroom for the full 7.5 or 8 hours a day that he was at school until he went virtual. He straight up said to me, after we had made small talk for a couple of minutes, that he vaped in my classroom while I was in my classroom. Now, prior to him saying this, he did say, "You were one of my favorite teachers in high school, but it's not like I'm that non-observant." The vaping in our school, and I'm sure it's every school in the United States, is just out of control. Now, my school did just install vape detectors in the bathroom and the locker room to try and mitigate some of this, but I'm sure it still happens because the vape industry has basically made it their job to make it undetectable in a normal setting. And these vapes are so small. Of course, he followed it up with, "My vape was about this big." So I just want to paint a picture of what it's like with teachers in a classroom when an 18-year-old thinks nothing of doing that in the classroom when the teacher is present. I can't say that I'm entirely shocked that the individual did that, but I am shocked that I never detected it. I didn't even suspect it. If you've got teenagers, you better be invading their privacy, because with how crazy this vaping is getting, It's out of control. And please do not take the stance, oh, my little boy wouldn't do that. My little girl wouldn't do that. Oh, yes, they freaking did. And they will.